Welcome, everybody, to our January forecast and discussion of current energies. To be more precise, the collective energies. And we're doing this live with the Sacred Self Healing Community. Those are people from all over the world who have dedicated themselves to meditation, mindfulness, and deeper understanding, systematic development of higher consciousness. And my name is Jona Bryndis. I'm your host. I'm an energy healer, energy coach, energy therapist, and I'm airing from Florida. Yeah, welcome. We start our forecast discussion with a quick review. And because we are at the precipice of a really, really intense transformation from one into the next year, from 21 till 22, I want to say that whatever it is that came forward for you here in December, I called the forecast for December true self interventions, meaning that there will be things, or there were, by now it's past tense, things that came to your awareness that can bring in more clarity about what you truly need, what you truly want, and who you truly are. And it's important to review that. It's important to look at what you've discovered and what this might mean for your future. I would like to ask you at this point what it is that has come to your attention here in these last 3 weeks that you couldn't see before, that wasn't clear to you. And if it has to do with repeats and patterns that you've already known, but you are now seeing it with more clarity, or you know having a better idea as to, I would say, understanding yourself better, knowing yourself better. What was that? What is that? What is coming to your awareness? Maybe with the help of a deeper connection with your own inner guidance and true self. And my apologies for my voice here. I've been struggling with losing my voice the last couple of days. We have the energetic tune up tomorrow. I'm not sure if I can record the energy alignment, to be honest. Um, this is, here a persistent cold. What is it that you are seeing with new eyes?
For me, I've been seeing that I've been judging myself through another person's eyes, and I'm learning that their stuff is their stuff and not a reflection necessarily on me, and that's been very freeing.
That's a really, really good point and very, very cool insight, Linda. And it can be shocking to realize this, right? I mean, it's like, wait a minute. I've seen myself through the eyes of others. I've seen myself from the outside in, as opposed to seeing myself from the inside out. Now, what are some of these examples, Linda, that you can make out that have maybe influenced your decisions in the past, or that have, been sort of in the foreground for you based on that you are now willing to change, or that you see now that you need to change? Or is it that right now mostly the relief that you're feeling, where you're seeing that, okay, this isn't my problem. This is really somebody else's problem. They need to resolve this for themselves. My priority or my responsibility is toward my own, decisions. Where are you standing with this process? Which, by the way, is spot on. That was exactly the December process. To recognize how externalized we are in so many different ways, be it, physically, like how we look, or, what material things we have, how other people think about us. Um, in regards to our emotions, like, how other people judge what we put out, what we say, how we react, or in regards to our beliefs mentally, in regards to our mindsets, or how we see the world, or even in a spiritual sense, where we can't see eye to eye with other people because they are basically stuck in their own way of looking at higher power or God or the world, if you will. So the world view itself. Where is this hitting you? Where is this hitting home with you?
For me, I think it's hitting home in my inner child. And I think it was me believing that certain actions were a reflection of the value of me, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing now that it really isn't the value of me. It's, well, and nothing. I'm seeing more that external things are not the predictor of the value of me, and really more just a piece of information about how someone else um, just chooses to act.
I
And
like
that
that.
is me.
Yeah, I like that because you just said something really important. There's a piece of information that actually comes through about the other person, right? With their judgment and with how they choose to see you. They're actually telling you how they're seeing themselves. This has ever crossed your mind? Yeah.
Yeah,
So when
yeah.
somebody devalues something or degrades something, then it is always showing you the part in them that they cannot love.
Yeah, and I always used to think of it as a degrading, but I'm seeing it more as just the way they orchestrate things. And, they may see those. I actually do think that this person sees their actions as loving actions, and I just didn't internalize them as loving action.
Well, yeah, here now you bring in both perspectives, right? You brought in the inner child, and the inner child has a very particular perspective. What is that perspective, that inner child perspective for you, Linda? I mean, what have
It
you
was. It,
associated with your inner child as sort
it
of your
was.
vulnerability, maybe?
Yeah, it was that I just wasn't lovable, just
Hmm.
because of my interpretation of those actions. And now I see that those actions, maybe that person thinks of them as loving actions, but my inner child felt valueless with them.
So, are you referring to misunderstandings based on you being so stuck in that sort of inner child view of things? Can you make an example, maybe? Or is it that you are realizing that, well, if you look at the world or at other people or even yourself through the eyes of your inner child, well, then you maybe not getting the full picture. You're just getting, I'm assuming that maybe it has to do with feeling attacked or feeling, um, well,
Well, for me, it was I was feeling not cared for, but I think
not cared
now I'm
for. Okay.
seeing that those actions are meant to be caring actions of that person,
Okay.
but they felt like very uncaring actions to me for some reason.
Okay, this is very cool, and this is a really a great way of internalizing some of this inner guidance, Linda, because we can only put out what we have internalized for ourselves, right? And when other people say things or do things that may appear rude or may appear degrading or may appear insufficient to us, yeah, let's try to be neutral about them. It may just be their limitation. It may just be that they can't express it in the way we need it. And this is
Yeah,
important now that you understand that, because when your inner child, which is the emotional, the attached part in us that is not really ruled by our intellect, which is not always bad. Yeah, but it has a tendency, because it links us to our core fears and our core needs, to see things black and white. Yeah, and it's also often linked to some of our childhood experiences that have formed us. So it's like like a filter, if you will. So it can be limiting for us as well. So when you recognize that you have an inner child that sometimes sees things through a filter that other people do or say, I want you to add another dimension to it. These others, other people, they also have an inner child.
Yes.
And that means that, especially in relationships, and this is the big theme here for the last days of this year, yeah, that when we're dealing with relationship issues, we're often dealing with the inner child issues that people bring in. And sometimes it's the limitations that the inner child perspective brings in, and sometimes it's the expressions or the lack thereof. And sometimes it's just simply a program. Yeah, most people really aren't aware of how much their inner child is still dominating their communication, their expressions, what they put out. When you add that dimension to your view, what you will see, and this is basically the antidote or the medicine here for this conflict that is becoming aware to us. There's only one solution, right? And that solution is that you're going to have to stick with what you need. And
And to
whether
get
or
it for
not what you
myself.
get is good enough for you, it doesn't matter how you judge it. At the end of the day, even if you, and this is actually the beauty of neutrality, if you arrive at a place where you no longer judge neither yourself or others, you still have to choose. You still have to choose if it's good enough for you. If you are getting what you needing, what you're wanting. So it's one thing to step into the empathy, right? The higher level of feeling, yeah, when we have new insights, but it's another one to move into, I want to say, common sense with that, and to realize that, okay, all right, I understand better now where the other person is coming from, and I understand better why I have been responding like this or like that, and I'm not proud of it, but I understand it better because I work with my inner child now. I get this now. But you still have to make a choice. Do you know what I mean? Just because we can understand something better, and that's a really big trap for our ego, especially for all of you lovely empaths and energetically sensitives who have been trained so well and who are doing so well in mentalizing your emotions. Just because you understand something doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing better, that you're choosing better. That's the next level. The next level is to take that higher understanding and that higher feeling, and to say, okay, now, so what do I truly need? What do I truly want? Is there anything wrong with what I want? Is there anything wrong with what I need? If I understand you right, Linda, you have gained a larger perspective on why other people react in certain ways. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Did I get that
Yeah.
right? So it connects you a little better with them, and also it makes
Takes
you
away
feel.
my pain.
But look, there still is this very simplistic kind of level to all of that, yeah, namely what it leads to. Better understanding just helps us to remove judgment and anger and frustration and hostility and envy and all these kind of things, yeah. you know, the grief that we have sometimes, or the victimhood that we feel. It helps us to remove that. But then we still have to make a conscious choice about whether or not it's good enough for us or it's what we want. Yeah. So this is basically here the forecast already significant for January. Because when we take this inner guidance, and guys, inner guidance isn't anything mystical. Inner guidance is the higher way of sensing, emoting, and thinking. It's a higher feeling, and that is the kind that is void or free or clear of all the filters that you have through your ego. So when you see more clearly, does this mean that you can now stop? No. It actually calls you for action, because now that you can see clearly, now you have to make a correction. And that correction can be something that, refers back to yourself, where you change your own behaviors, or you change your expectations, or you change, the things that you're doing, or you change your goals. Yeah. And also what you want from the other. Because once you understand this better, this interaction between humans, yeah, basically, egos constantly fighting over something. When the inner child's involved, it's usually attention, love, validation. Okay, you got to ask yourself, okay, do I really need that from that person, or do I really want that from that person? Or, can I even get it from that person the way I need it? So the next level is to work with your needs and your wants, which have to do with your preferences, and to strengthen that in you, and to give yourself permission to actually have those needs. And then to sort, to reprioritize, to, you can make compromises for as long as you make conscious compromises. Yeah, you're still in the green with yourself. But as soon as you make compromises that, let's say, violate your needs or your wants, then you begin to externalize again. So the reason why we externalize is because there's something we are not getting. Is there's a need that is not met, that we are not meeting. And that's when we start looking for it on the outside. And I agree with you that there is a part of us that can, sort of misinterpret and come to wrong conclusions and have unrealistic expectations based on not fully understanding the other person. But the bottom line is, whatever it is that makes us feel saved, that makes us feel loved, that makes us feel cared for, is a non-negotiable. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm just I'm being a coach here and showing you where this needs to go, what to do with this insight. Yeah, the willful, the volition, the resolution, the conscious decision. That is how we step into our power, how we use our insights.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sometimes I say to translate it, or to embody it, or to step into action, or we have to do something with this. Okay. So this is basically what a true self-intervention is. A true self-intervention is something that is being shown to us, and sometimes it leads to these beautiful internalizations that Linda shared with us. Sometimes it leads to, maybe shocking events, or really sort of unexpected transitions, and we're being forced to change something. And sometimes, it's just a really silent, sweet inner voice that reminds us of something. And when these interventions happen, they're basically there for us to take that and go and do things differently. I've talked about, deprogramming ourselves, and I've talked about reprogramming ourselves, and I've talked about developing new disciplines, emotional disciplines, physical disciplines, mental disciplines, spiritual disciplines. All that has to do with putting things into action, making conscious choices, putting our insight into action. That's then what we call manifestation or conscious manifestation. Everything that we do without this volition, this conscious insight and the will to act on it, that's what I've called unconscious manifestation, based on autopilot, usually ego, inner child, karma, or shadow. These are the four main, sort of darknesses that pull us out of our true self-awareness, and with it then into either inaction. So inaction and passivity was a big deal for most of you here in these last years, or into hiding, avoiding, or attacking everything. And none of these coping mechanisms, based on your ego, inner child, karma, or shadow, have actually produced different outcomes. The best you could accomplish with that was maybe that you started to become a better coper. Do you guys know what I mean with that? Like you got better at hiding, better at avoiding, better at circumventing, better at holding everything together, better at fire put her out or put her outing. You see what I'm saying? So there is a problem with that. The insight is basically the power, and that allows us then to make a conscious choice. And the conscious choice then has a different energy to it than the previous sort of autopilot behaviors. The conscious choice is like it is like an intervention, but it is not one that feels like it's coming from a higher power or from the outside. It is one that you are initiating, where you are consciously stepping into your co-creation process, where you are consciously, voluntarily, out of your own volition, choose to change something. That is an enormous power. And the reason why we have so much difficulty with it is because it brings about change, and change then triggers or challenges, our coping again, because we could potentially lose something, or we could potentially have to let go of certain conveniences, or we have to be courageous and face a certain level of discomfort. We have to overcome our fear of the unknown. And that's why we have this inner battle, this duality. And I've predicted this actually over a year ago, that this is the theme of this year, is this duality between wanting to move forward, wanting to progress, really wanting to step into a new reality, and still sort of getting pulled back by the old. And this is now basically here in December coming to a place where we have to succumb. We have to succumb to the fact that the old might be gone. And the old, with that, I'm referring to paradigm. I'm not referring to, like whatever the old relationship or whatever. I'm referring to, the way we've looked at the world, the way we've viewed ourselves, the way we've been perceiving our reality. That is now starting to hit home. It's not going to be like it was before. What are some of the other new insights or maybe sudden realizations that came to you guys throughout these last weeks, these last 3-4 weeks?
Hey, Jona, I'll share.
Hey, Cindy.
Hi. So one of the things that was really shocking for me was that I didn't realize how much I externalized my view of everything, my view of myself. Like if I was thinking about, say, manifesting something that I wanted to do as far as a job or whatever, I would always picture myself outside of myself. So I was never
Cindy, if I
really,
remember this right, this actually came to your attention during the energy course, right?
yes,
Like
yes,
physically, like almost like the physical eyes. It's very similar to what Linda is saying, but it has a different meaning for you. It's like how you actually looked at you. Your
yes,
perception is like looking at you like in a movie, like looking at you as the character, not
exactly.
looking at the world from within your own. You called it eyeballs, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it was weird because I sort of had this just sort of spontaneous, I call it like a true self prompting to do this and to bring it bring the vision, like if you see cartoons and they're shooting x-ray visions out of their eyes, if you look at that as the projection of what we're projecting, this movie, to pull it back through your eyes and like open your eyes to a whole different perspective, a whole different view. And it was super freaky and super powerful.
What are some of the insights that you have gained through that? I mean, I understand what you're saying. There first is like this like, oh wow, I never looked at things from that perspective. But what are you seeing differently? Whoops, I'm not sure I can still hear you. Yeah, we lost you, Cindy. I'll just wait for you to come back. But in the meantime, can you guys relate to what Cindy is sharing or to what Linda is sharing? This is similar what both have shared, but it came to them in a different way. Cindy, are you back?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there.
Okay,
I'm
there you
sorry.
go.
I think our internet's going in and out kind of here. But the biggest insight with that was that I was never fully present in my space. So everything that I was either trying to manifest or um, my body, nothing was like in my full power, my inner connected self until I was,
How do you know? You notice the difference?
oh, huge difference. Huge difference. I see things so much differently now, but I also, because I have done this for so long, I really have to pay attention because it's so easy just to flip back into how I used to view things.
Can you give us an example? Like what has come to your attention that you see differently now?
I see myself differently now. And seeing myself outside of myself, I see why I've always judged myself or judged other people or just, judged in general. When I'm in myself, I don't judge myself. Or if I do, it's a different.
So again, the judgment.
Oh, judgment, yeah, it was huge. Because if I'm watching myself do something like outside of myself, then I'll pick it apart. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you?
Okay.
Why are you wearing that? Why you know what I mean? Just whatever. And it's not even really a conscious thing. It's just a thing that runs like a program through me. But once I'm in myself, I'm way more in observe mode. I can observe things as opposed to just judging what I see.
I hear what you're saying. Now, how does this affect the way you see others, for example?
Oh, wait, I don't even think about how I think about other people now. It's the weirdest thing. It's more about how I feel in my environment, I guess, as opposed to, like looking at somebody. I don't know. I don't know how to describe that exactly.
Mm-hmm. So what I hear you say is that, for you right now, there is just you just noticing the shift. It's not really bringing new conclusions or new, like, all right, I see clearly now, so now I need to change this or this or that. It's not there yet. Then I would say to you the same that I said to Linda, that these whatever brought it about, these perspective changes, yeah, where you realize, okay, I really have been looking at myself from the outside, and that has contributed to all the judgment and perhaps all the stuff that came with the judgment, the guilt and the regrets and the self-berating. So now that I can change that, now that I can feel the relief in that, what am I going to do with this?
Well, I
Yeah,
feel like a
what's the next
whole
step?
world has opened up, and now I can kind of choose. Well, now not kind of, I can see a way bigger perspective I mean, I can honestly say judgment has stopped me from doing pretty much everything that I've ever wanted to do.
How has it changed the way you feel about yourself?
I feel so much more confident. I feel more powerful. I feel good. I'm happy. I feel present with myself. And this is like an odd feeling for me. I used to get fleeting, you know,
Mhm.
feelings,
Moments.
but
Mhm.
overall, I feel good.
All right. So now is the time, Cindy, especially here coming these next weeks, to continue to witness how it can change, the way you see yourself and the world that you are in. Okay, and to make new plans, if you will, yeah, because this is a new life view that you are describing here. Yeah, you seeing life differently,
Yes.
which means that all your values, all your priorities, and all the things that you maybe thought you needed or thought you wanted or thought you had as goals, they need to be reevaluated.
Hmm.
It's very, very important because with this new perspective, this higher vantage point, if you will, everything changes. All right, and this is basically like a jump board now into a new reality. This is actually the secret of conscious manifestation, is that we realize that what's in the way of us manifesting what we want is not the outer circumstances. It's our inner view of the outer circumstances. It's our perception of the world, the perception of life, what life is, what we are, what makes us alive, and what gives us the permission and the power to make changes. All that changes when you shift your perspective. You realize now that the only person that can do anything about anything in your life is you.
Yes.
And that outer circumstances are in and of themselves actually illusions. So they're factual to a degree. Obviously, if we're sick, we're sick. If we, lost money or lost a job or something like that, right? That's factual. But what it means to us and how it affects us and how it affects our choices, that's not factual. That's subjective. What we do with it comes from our internalized version of what we perceive. So one person loses their job and it's the end of the world for them. And another person loses their job and, they go through a day or two of grievance or, some kind of ego struggle, about, questioning themselves, whether they are good enough or not and stuff like that. And then they turn around and they get the energy to try something new out of that circumstance. Therefore, circumstances aren't factual, they aren't objective. You see? Because if losing a job is an outer circumstance that always leads to the same result for people, then it would be objective. Then it would be something that you can't change. Weather is like that. So when I talk about collective energies, I often compare this with weather conditions. Yeah. And still, the way people perceive weather can still be different. But when it rains for everybody. Yeah. And everybody gets wet. That's fact. That's factual. Yeah. And some people get sick from it, and some people love it, and some people take this as an opportunity to, I don't know, clean out their closet, and others, sit there and get depressed. So you see what I'm saying? But whether, and these larger, these bigger outer things, such as COVID, for example, COVID is factual. It's affecting all our societies, all our nations, and, the ways we can interact with another. There's only very few areas on this planet right now that are more or less not affected because people simply don't know that COVID is there. But the COVID situation has affected all of us and has affected all of our behavior. But it does different things to different people. And that depends on their perspective, on their internalization of that. So for the collective, it has a huge meaning, and therefore, a lot of these, what we call circumstances, have changed and will continue to change. But the way we see it, the way we deal with it, what we can learn from it, and what we ultimately do with it, that's up to us. And I think we've been seeing this quite clearly, how different countries, even different states and so forth, can deal with the same circumstance in a different way and therefore create a completely different reality. Cindy, since you're here where you live, and we both live in the United States, right? But where you live, you have vaccine passports, is that correct?
Not yet, but what they're trying to mandate right now is that if you're not vaccinated, you will have to subject yourself to testing, or you have to pay a fine. I think some of our non-union associates right now are having to pay a fine if they're not vaccinated.
You're talking at a workspace, but can I go into a grocery store without, I don't know, going through some kind of passport control? Or I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
no passport. You're
Okay.
required to wear a mask, but
Okay.
about half the people don't. And we don't have to enforce that. That's not our job to enforce. So
There's people here from different countries. I would just be curious here in regards to, how we perceive circumstances. If you would like to share, you come from different countries and there's different rules where you guys are at. Julianne, what's it like for you in Australia?
Hey, Yona. Yeah, they're bringing in mandating that you're not allowed to go to picture theatres, hotels, bars. I think it's something similar to Europe, but you are allowed to go for essential shopping, which is a grocery store.
When you're not
And
vaccinated, how do you have to prove whether you're vaccinated or not?
yes, they have it's on your phone, so it's linked through Medicare, and it will show that you're double vaccinated. People who don't, they are not allowed in cafes or bars, picture theatres. They can't deny you emergency services, so you're allowed to go to the hospital. If you're visiting someone in a hospital, you have to be double vaccinated. You're not allowed to visit unless it's for a child who's.
But overall, you always have to have your phone with you or your vaccination
Yeah.
card, I guess, and show it. So you got passport controls, not
Yes.
like ID, but yeah. Oh, just out of curiosity, could I just take anybody's vaccination thingy on the phone, or is there like a picture ID
There's,
tied to it?
no, there's no picture ID, and that's a problem that they're actually facing at the moment. Is that you can have somebody else's ID, but there's a heavy fine and a jail sentence. So if you do lie or use somebody else's ID and you get caught, or there is something you can download from the internet. I've seen that you can have, it shows that you're double vaccinated, but the only thing is it only turns up for about 5 seconds, and then a double sort of a wave of interference comes through. So people can tell that it's fake, but apparently that's something that's out there. But the only thing that they can do is there's a heavy fine
And
or
is
jail.
this being scanned? Is this like a barcode or a CR code or something?
No,
Okay,
not.
so it's just like somebody standing at the door. Give me a visual. Somebody standing at the door and looking at it.
Yeah, it's just a visual. Yeah,
Okay.
with 2 ticks on both vaccines that
And
you've
this
been
is
double.
something that I guess what Cindy just shared, what they're discussing right now in Washington.
yeah,
And how are
what
people dealing
Julianne
with this?
what Julianne just described is also going on here with cafes and hospitals and whatnot. And you have to have your phone with you with that information on there.
Oh, so you do. So you do have those controls. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you have them already. And how are people dealing with this?
Not well. Either people like myself, I just don't go to restaurants or, theaters, bars, whatever. Um, but, I hear stories of people that have gotten in fights about it at restaurants. People don't like it. I don't
Okay,
blame
but they're
them.
doing it. But they're doing it. Okay. So how's
Yeah, but they are doing it.
what's it like in Canada? We have a few people from Canada here.
I'm in Alberta, Canada, and we're the redneck Canadians. So we have a passport, but our premier won't call it a passport because he doesn't agree with passports. But we have a QR code, and you can print it or put it on your phone, and you have to match it with your ID.
Oh wow! Oh, so you got to show both photo ID and your vaccination passport.
Yeah.
Or else,
Well, it's
what
for
is restricted?
non-essential services. So for essential services, you have there's no control at all for.
So like grocery stores, you can and convenience stores and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, but our premier has just opened up that it used to be if you weren't vaccinated, you couldn't socialize. And for Christmas, he's not identifying vaccinated or unvaccinated, just limiting the number of people that should get together for Christmas. But it doesn't matter vaccine status.
Oh, so you're allowed to see family now?
Yes, vaccinated or non.
And how do people deal with that?
Well, of course, this is the guy who said that we were open for summer in the summer, and then we just rocked all of Canada for the highest rates of COVID. And so the suggestion is he's just politically doing it again, and that we are going to lead Canada in the Omicron problem. But you know, it's we just see ugliness all on both sides of the fence. Like, I just don't know why everybody can't have their own decisions, but it just gets very political.
Yeah, I guess the politicization is something that we are observing everywhere in the world. We don't have anybody from Europe here live right now. It's the time, I guess. So there's different variations of the theme. But the truth is that we are being, regardless of what we think about vaccination or not, is not the point. The point is that we are being told whom we can meet, whom we can socialize with, where, and where we can go, and so forth. And these are circumstances that, regardless of how we see this politically, should concern us. The fact that it's not concerning for people, and the fact that everybody's just complying, is even more concerning for someone who has this perspective shift that we talked about here earlier. Yeah, because what is your perspective when you look at life from within yourself, right? You begin to see that the only authority that can choose what you manifest and what you do is you. And here you're experiencing this adversity from the outside where you're being told that you can't do this. So this is basically the duality that I talked about earlier that we are facing now. So we need to face this, the old paradigm and the new paradigm. What happens to people that are simply not playing the game? So this is all relevant, guys, for January, and I hope that we have one recording. These two self-interventions that we talked about that came in here in December, and they're still coming in for us to recognize what it truly is that we need, that we want, who we are, and how we are going to bring this into action. That is now going to take form. It has to take form. Let me ask you, since we're still discussing here, what happened? What is your experience? You guys are sacred, self-healing practitioners, so to speak. Yeah, you have trained and you have spent considerable time in, you know, really working with your perception. What are some of the things that you are realizing now that you have to rethink, reevaluate, reconceptualize in a way? What are some of these examples for Julian? For you, maybe the way you do your profession. Yeah, the way you do your profession. What are some of
Yeah,
the? So, go ahead.
going online, getting an online community. I mean, we have the online community here,
Mm-hmm.
but just putting that message out there that different things are available. I can do different things without doing acupuncture. I mean, I can do massage, I can do acupressure. It's, you know, there's lots of things I can do besides acupuncture, but also
Okay.
online.
So it shows you something, right? It shows you that, you know, the doctor of acupuncture that you are isn't who you are. That is just something, one thing you do. Yeah. There's many other things that you can do. And that shows you something about yourself. What does it show you about yourself?
Tenacious. Tenacity, I suppose, that we can do other things, that we can, if we really sit and think about it, not get depressed, not get down. It's sort of like, well, hang on, there is a third option.
Yeah,
Getting that.
not there are other ways.
Yeah, there were.
So for anybody else, insights about who you are, what your value is, and what your identity is, because identity was also a really, really big subject here in December.
Well, I'd like to add the calling for the remote working and the remote healing. That's always been a big thing for me, was that I knew I wanted to work remotely, but I didn't know why, because I love people too. I love, you know, like my coworkers, and now I'm understanding the bigger picture on that, and then making a roadmap to actually have that happen and work, no matter where I am.
So something that you have been working on for years, right, Cindy? Especially you know, with all the trainings and all the things that you have been feeling pulled to it, but never really, you know, made that sort of consequential step into it, is now coming front and center.
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys remember this, but I said something along the lines that, you know, December is bringing sort of fated things into our life, and the energetic tune up. Those of you who are part of this, tomorrow we have the tune up for January, by the way. You've heard me talk about synergy and entropy, and how fate is not something mysterious. Fate is something that is innate in all of us. We're all getting pulled into our future. And it may not be so aware to us at the time when we feel a certain attraction to something, or when we feel like we have to read up on something, or we have to learn something new, or something is coming in for us that we maybe just want to do as a hobby or something like that. How that might be our future destiny. Yeah, and I've mentioned that for December, that these true self interventions, they bring in the missing information, they bring in the missing pieces that allow us to see how we have actually worked toward this new paradigm all along without being aware of it. It's coming front and center now. We can realize now, when we can let go of our fear, when we can step into our tenacity, right? When we can step into the courage that we haven't been able to muster because we have been seeing ourselves through the eyes of others, or because we have been judging ourselves, or because we had been identifying with whatever our circumstances or our conditions or our job or relationship or whatever it is that we have been identifying with, that all that wasn't really who we are or were. That who we are is not defined by these things. And that I've mentioned this throughout the energy tips. A lot of you guys have been undergoing training for what it is now that wants to come into manifestation all your life. All your life. I don't know if anyone can feel this with this clarity. Yeah, that you have been in training camps the last decades, right, through these different things that have happened in your life, through your karma and so forth, your inner child and your ego and your shadow. Yeah, all of them have contributed to you now knowing yourself for real, knowing who you truly are. And with that perspective changes your perception of yourself and the world. And with that, new solutions come in. This is really, really important. Before, it was a matter of trust. There was only a few of us who actually stepped forward, fully trusting in their inner guidance. But now, guys, it's basically the great awakening for everybody. Yeah? And you guys are the ones who have been working with this impulse all along. Now it needs to manifest. Now it needs to come into this phase where you kind of knew but never really dared to actually envision it. It's been going all along. Okay, and for some of us that can be scary. Yeah, because there might be things that come with that you know, force us to let go of certain things. Yeah, maybe we have to, you know, move somewhere, or maybe we have to change jobs, or like Julianne, maybe we have to find different ways of doing our jobs. Maybe we have to reconsider the people that we have been socializing with, and maybe that's not even important to us anymore. Yeah. Maybe it is more silent in a way that we realize what truly matters to us, for our heart, what makes us feel loved, what makes us feel cared. Whatever it is, guys, that is coming forward here for you, still in these last days of December, pay attention to it, because it's pulling you into your higher expression. So let me do the official forecast here, hoping that we have a recording for this so I don't have to do this again. So welcome everybody for the forecast and analysis of January 2022 energies. We've just finished the forecast discussion here with the Sacred Self-Healing community. And by the way, we have daily Sacred Self meditations on Skype. We have a program here between Christmas and New Year's for all of you who were there last year, the 12 days of Sacred Self. Julianne and Cindy are facilitating this on Skype along with the Sacred Self meditations. Those are open for everybody. It is something that you can share, is something that you can go see when these times are on Skype. There's a calendar. Thank you, Abigail, for posting this. So that's just a little bit of housekeeping here. These new energies that are coming in very, very strongly here with this solstice energy that we are currently in, they are truly indicating very intense, very strong new beginning. And this new beginning has to do with moving from an old paradigm into a new paradigm. This is nothing that needs to scare you. This has happened many, many times. It happens every century, where things change. Often it's technology, or it's some kind of maybe a higher power event, like a climate event or something like that, where people have to rethink, where they have to reevaluate, where they have to start doing things differently. So that's basically what a new paradigm is. The question is, what is this new paradigm? What is this a new way of seeing the world, new way of seeing ourselves? And this is really the interesting and really exciting part. It is a new way of seeing ourselves from a broader, from a higher perspective, from a perspective that comes in with more self-responsibility and more self-authority, where we realize that we as humans, as human beings, have innate powers. And this is really the part here that is exciting for all of us, because at the end of the day, even amid all these restrictions that we're experiencing right now due to COVID, there is a force here that shows us something. It shows us the missing pieces, the missing links, all right, in our life's story, okay, where we may have always felt misunderstood or lost, or didn't really know what we wanted. And the way it's showing it to us, this is basically the December energy, the true self interventions, is that some things have to collapse. Some things, for example, the way we see ourselves, the way we see other people, our relationships, our jobs, what we identify with, all these things, they seem to go into the background when this outer sort of higher power, this intervention occurs, and it forces us into a place of looking at things from a different perspective. And that different perspective is going to be a higher perspective. It's going to be a perspective that allows us to see things from a more holistic point of view, from a more unified point of view. We are realizing now that as human beings, our true power is not all the things that we have, that we own, that we can get, but all the things that we can put out into this world that allow us to interact with another, that allow us to touch each other's heart, and that allow us to be there for another. Yeah, many of us will feel an even stronger impulse to wanting to be of service to others, to wanting to share, to wanting to go into sort of synergetic relationships, not so much the kind of relationship that we used to indulge in, that was transactional or somehow exploitative. We are wanting a different quality now, and that quality is one that has to do with our higher thinking, our higher feeling, and also our higher being bleeding through. And so when you look at these collective energies that are coming in here for January, then the first thing that we will notice, and this hasn't happened yet, but the last 10 days here of December are going to be very intense, very loud, very fast-paced, and very chaotic, if you will, due to what is now clear, to be the Omicron strain of COVID that forces everybody into something that we have been experienced 2 or 3 times, maybe 4 times already, but now for real, because this is going through us like a wildfire. And the good news about this is that you don't really need to be afraid of this. This is actually the beginning of the end of this pandemic, and therefore really a blessing in disguise. Yeah, this highly transmissive strain of COVID is actually something that is a way less symptomatic and brings in sort of such a light infection, if you will, yeah, that many of you won't even know that you've had it. Okay, so this will obviously then put a new light on the whole sort of vaccination mandate thing and so forth. So probably the most important date that I can already give you for January is something around the 18th of January, where our governments, this I don't know if it starts with the US, but the way I see this is that the US government is going to make an announcement, and that announcement is basically a new plan. It's history making. So January is a history making month in that way, as it really shifts things around. Now, will it immediately take effect in our lives in regards to some of the things that are ongoing, be it the lawsuits about mandates, be it the lawsuits about adverse vaccine responses and so forth, the schools, the public transformation, the public transportation, public places. Will it have, immediate effects on our political systems and so forth? Not just yet. That will take until August of 2022. But right now, where we will see the most direct impact is in the financial area, in the money of this world. Yeah, not so much the economy yet, but the money itself, the value of the money itself. So the month of January and the energy alignment that comes with it, I've called this new values, and I'm playing here with different dimensions of values, not just the values for ourselves, knowing better what we need, what we want, based on who we truly are, the things that we have been working on in these last 2 months, but also the value of items, of resources, of money itself. Yeah, and this is something that's been coming for quite a while. I have been reporting about this on a monthly, on a weekly, even on a yearly basis to give you an overview. This is the time when we need to make new plans. And the good news about January is that it comes in with an unexpected support, with an unexpected synergy. Yeah, it will at first feel just like a repeat. Oh, been there, done that. I don't really need to take it seriously. But this time around, it's different. It will be very clear to all of us that this is changing everything. Yeah, and it will also, and this is something that I regard as positive, bring clear results this time. So this can affect the science. This can affect the way we are beginning to see the pandemic, obviously also with some of these underlying revelations that have been coming in here since July, yeah, as to the origin of the virus and the handling of the virus, be it the handling of our governments or the handling of the treatment of COVID and so forth. All that will be basically sort of visible for all of us, clear results. Yeah, and that's in regards to collective energies. In regards to our personal transformations, there's even better news because it really allows us to do something that we would normally do in January anyway. This forming intentions, yeah, this coming up with resolutions is really supported now. And the difference this January from all other Januaries that I have reported about is that because we have been going through all these uncertainties and these questioning ourselves and changing our vantage point and really haven't been forced to work with what truly matters to us, our priorities are changing, and they're changing in a way that they become more realistic. They're changing in a way that we can actually accomplish it, what we set out there to accomplish. Before, it was all based on ideals, maybe dreams, or maybe some kind of external goals. But all that is falling away now, guys. And what you're realizing now through this deeper inner connection, yeah, that you were forced to go into, yeah, is what your true priorities are, what you truly need, what truly matters to you, what you truly want, what makes you feel emotionally safe, what makes you feel cared for, what makes you feel loved, what makes you feel validated, not through what you do or through the eyes of other people, but from what you understand that you are, that you can bring into the world, as I've always called it. This is true authenticity now. Yeah, and whether these circumstances that we've all had to deal with here in these last year and a half, 2 years, have brought you, grievance, have brought you losses, or whether you have not experienced them, is not so much the point. Those weren't the interventions. The interventions are the ones that have showed us how we used to look at things from a different perspective. And that's then really where we can begin to feel what the word paradigm means from within. We're beginning to see how, with this perspective change, our perception of the world, of ourselves changes, and with it, how our priorities, how our focus changes. And that's then, basically the energy that is needed to step into that last bit that we need, yeah, to overcome our fear. Yeah, to step into fearlessness and to say, you know what? It's all falling apart to a degree, like all these constructs that I had, all these identities or identifications, these false selves that I had, they're all falling apart anyway. I might as well do what truly matters to me. And all I can do right now is to try my best. And one of the strongest sort of feelings I want to say about January that came in when I did the scanning of these collective energies is that we will all come to this place that all we can do is try our best, and we will all die trying. And that's something very positive if you think about it, because at the end of the day, we always try to be our best. Except for now, we actually have a realistic chance to move into a higher expression. Why? Because we have this more clear yes and no that we can feel from within ourselves. We're starting to realize how our inner guidance has been getting us to this place all along. And January has the matching energies coming in from the outside, sort of as this collective weather condition. It comes in with a sense of seriousness, yes, but also with a sense of fortitude, because suddenly everybody rolls up their sleeves and has this resolve. It's industrious, it's inventive, it's inspiring. And so our job now is to really put this down in front of us and say to ourselves, all right, what is what that I need? What do I need? And those are non-negotiables. What do I want? Those are my preferences. Those are the things that would be nice. And out of that, I'm forming my goals. And now all I have to do is to reprioritize all of this. And then come in with the authority to say, okay, it's my responsibility to do this. I'm the only one that can do this for myself. And with this, guys, all your questioning yourself, your self-worth issues, and self-value problems that came from, you know, your upbringing, your inner child, your ego ways of idealizing the world or yourself. Some of you have strong karmic patterns. We all have karmic patterns, but some of you stronger than others, yeah, or simply your shadow aspects, your inner darkness, yeah, where you were too afraid, where you allowed yourself to console yourself with, you know, things like victimhood, where you don't have to be responsible, or where you judged and blamed others for not stepping into your life. So January is a month that is really showing us what it means to become alive, to be a human being in all its different dimensions, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and energetically. And while this may sound huge, what I'm saying, and it is huge, because a new paradigm is huge. Yeah, this is like electricity or telephone or radio. You know, those changed the way we live, the way we communicate with another, the way we interact, the way we transport, and so forth. Yeah, these are paradigm shifts. They're huge. While this is huge, it will actually feel a little calmer in January, but we still have that big sort of intervention here ahead of us. And as I've mentioned, that's linked to some of these things that are already in the making here with you know, all the panic and all the fear that is being triggered one more time in all of us, so that we can finally get out of this repeat cycle, yeah, with COVID, and step into our self authority, into our self health authority, into our self emotional authority, mental, intellectual authority, and spiritual authority, and say, okay, this is a new beginning for me consciously. Everything that we are forced to be changing, guys, from an energetic point of view, doesn't have as much power as your conscious will, your conscious choice that is based on your insights, that is based on the internalization of what you're perceiving. Yeah. So the year starts with some chaotic energies, yeah, that we'll still feel around this time, because the year 21 will end with sort of a big bang, and then we'll feel this, like, you know, this exhaustion, if you will, right in the first couple of days of January. But there will be very positive emotional impulses there. We'll feel relieved. It's almost like, you know, the fear of going through something is like torture, but when you actually go through it, you're relieved. And that's how we're all going to feel here in these first days of January. Yeah, it's the time where we really need to set new intentions. It starts with a new moon on the 2nd of January, and it's a good new moon that allows us to see our life with more clarity and what we truly need to do. Yeah, the dithering around, you know, in regards to our jobs, our relationships, or how we treat our bodies, or how we treat our own needs, our own boundaries, and so forth, that will stop there. Yeah, we'll feel much more resolve and tenacity to consciously do this. All right, and the way it will come to us is that through this conscious perspective shift, we are now beginning to see different paths. So the conclusion, yeah, that I want you guys to walk into January, into this new year with, is that there are many paths that can lead to what it is that you want to bring into this world, this higher expression of yourselves. But if you are stuck in a place where you can't see any, then you need to realize that that's because your own perception at this moment is inhibited, is limited. And the only thing you should do then is not to, try to force anything or try to control, try to cope more, but is to let go within, maybe take a break. Yeah, January will be something where we all feel like we need a break from this rah-rah. I mean, we always have that after the holidays, but this is different. This is more like an internal kind of taking a break where you realize I need to really go within, and I really need to listen to my inner guidance now. Yeah. And understand that what you come up with out of that inner renewal energy, yeah, that is emerging in you through all these experiences, that will then show you new paths that you couldn't see before. And that's always the exciting part about shifting perspective. And even when I report about things like in regards to our financial systems and the value of money, guys, yes, we're in inflation, and it will have an effect on many markets, and it will particularly affect the resources. Yeah, we're already seeing sort of issues with supply chains. I've been predicting this all to you. This shouldn't be a surprise to you. But what you will realize now is that money itself no longer has the value to you as it did before, because you no longer identifying yourself with it. You are recognizing that yes, money is nice, for conveniences, and it allows us to have more experiences, but that the things that truly matter to you, that they cannot be bought with money. And so it may come to you that there should be other things that you can do with your money. Yeah, maybe supporting others, supporting businesses that are trying to bring about positive change, that are trying to help others that are not so fortunate, yeah, like nonprofit organizations, or you come together with a bunch of people and you start a new business. You will also realize that the value of money itself depends on how it's being made. Yeah, and that certain kinds of money aren't really that desirable for you anymore. Yeah, like making money in certain ways. So this is really something that I am looking forward to, because this is something I've been predicting for so long, that the way we do business, the way we make business with another is going to change. Yeah, and I have been demonstrating this with many training courses in regards to new business models and new ways of making money. And you will probably look at this differently now, starting this new year, because some of you might simply not be able to do the kinds of jobs that you have been doing before, or you may decide that you don't want to do them anymore because they are not conducive for the total that you are, that you're seeing yourself now. Yeah. So going into January this way, I will feel a lot of clarity and a lot of sort of support here in these first 2 weeks of January, and then to the 14th of March of December, we'll get a little sort of slowing down energy, and that doesn't need to be anything concerning for you. It's just the rhythms in January are like that. They're like uphill, downhill, and then they'll lead us back uphill. So you're going to have to go through, probably emotionally, through a little bit of a slump here in the middle of the month. And then you will feel this support coming back in. And that support, guys, that has to do with you really realize or really looking into what's realistic. No longer the dreamy stuff, the, oh, I just go with the flow, or the stuff that is aligned to ideals, yeah, unrealistic expectations, but that is aligned to who you are, that is aligned to what is, that is aligned to truth. And you've maybe seen this, we have a bunch of new programs here at transCODES that have to do with that have to do with how to consciously manifest, say, a relationship based on truth, a business based on truth, yeah, how to get the clarity to know what you want and what you need to change. So toward the end of the month of January, then we will begin to feel a clear sort of forward feeling. Yeah, the end of January will bring sort of a big sort of collective sigh in. Okay, but all that, of course, with the backdrop of massive, massive transformations of all our values, social values, yeah, money values, also political values, and anything regarding self-value. All right, so yeah, 2022, as I have predicted last year, go back to the predictions for 22 and 23 that I did last year, we will still have to deal with this duality between wanting to move forward and really wanting to step into our new awareness and still being held back by some of the old ways. Yeah, so for some it goes quicker and for others it takes a little longer, and obviously the collective moves slower than we do as individuals. So if anything, guys, remember that each and every one of us who actually puts this into the world due to their own volition, due to their own conscious choice, yeah, is contributing to making all of this more bearable, if you will, and more enjoyable at the end of the day. So yes, January is going to feel much better than we are feeling right now, and toward the end of December. Okay, but we have to be present. We have to make conscious choices, guys. Make everything a conscious choice. And maybe you can already practice now here in these last days of December. Make everything a conscious choice. Everything that you put into your body, everything that you allow your emotions to feed on, everything that other people say or not say, people that you are surrounding yourself with, yeah, all beliefs, yeah, and mindsets, yeah, make everything a conscious choice, all the way down to what sandwich you should have for lunch, or yeah, what people you want to be with through the holidays. Okay. There will be a forecast for 2020 and 2023 here for this community again on December the 23rd. Sorry, the 31st. At 11 a.m. And we will discuss the larger perspective of 2022 and 2023. Yeah, the one that I have started doing last year with these 3 years of transition, as I call them. So we got one down, guys. 2 more to go. But in January, we'll be over the hump. And by August, we'll see. We'll begin to see results. If you would like to know more about your personal energy, how you're going to be dealing with January energies, then join our energetic tune-up session tomorrow at 1 p.m. That's clearing and reading session for you, what your opportunities and challenges are in January. And if you would like to work on this in a more internalized way of feeling yourself going through these energies, feeling these energies, tuning in, then I can recommend our Soul Unification Marathon next week, 28th, 29th, and 30th of December. And for all of you who want to learn this systematically, check out the energy course starting on January 8th. And for all of you who want to work on this in their relationships, maybe as individual or as a couple, check out our new Love Integrity 3-month program to build and rebuild a new foundation for your relationship based on truth. I will close the forecast for January with these words. Remember that life is something that you need to consciously choose and consciously bring life into. So use this extraordinary time to not only see and feel yourself in your higher expression, but also to take the first step into bringing this into 3D, into this world. Yeah. And that's all you need to know. You just need to know the first step. All other steps come as you go, as you greet this new year, 2022, with new resolve, new sense of what you value and what you want to bring into this world. Wishing you all happy holidays. Please enjoy the free daily sacred self meditations on Skype several times a day. And I see you soon for the energy up. Bye-bye.